The following is a Hoop Ball presentation. Welcome to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast.
Welcome to the official part of Fantasy NBA Today, Friday, live on YouTube. I'm Dan Besbris. Aaron Bruski, you're the co-host effectively today. Sometimes I say you're like the guest on Fridays, but this is something we've done for 3 seasons going now. So to those listening in the traditional channels, welcome in. To those watching on YouTube, welcome back. Brew, good afternoon to you.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
That's all I got.
Hi.
How you doing?
This show, of course, brought to you by Bruno's. And Brew probably could use a cup of it right about now. Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. What you got over there?
I'm drinking it right now, dog. I need it after this week of
Kona Sunrise.
December's a slog, man. It's just a slog, and this gets me through it. So thank you very much for the Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee.
I see the logo there. It says Kona Sunrise in a nice purple and white.
This has been an amazing find for me. It's just perfect. It's my kind of coffee. It's dark, bold, rich. It's everything I like in a coffee. You know, I'm gonna probably get some new stuff. I think I heard. So looking forward to seeing what the other stuff is. But I think this is gonna be my go-to right here.
Well, at the very least, Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company has made drinkers out of the entire Hoop Ball staff. So even if nobody else ends up going out and buying it, which I don't think is the case, because we've seen I think we've gotten 4 or 5 tweets from people that are like buying it already, going out and getting it. There's 15 of us on staff that are just buying it every couple of weeks. So that's good advertising is what that is. Well done. HawaiianIsles.com is the website. Go search for Hawaiian Isles at
We
Amazon.
have a hoop baller, Zach Boudin, that's actually in Hawaii right now looking for them.
It's like searching with a stick.
He's like trying to find them.
Yeah, I'm
He's gonna go knock on the door and be like, "Hey, what's up?" You know, I'm from hoop ball.
Yeah, he let us know. He's
I
like,
have a feeling that Glenn will welcome him into the operation with open arms, and just probably give him a tour of the place.
Yeah, Hawaii's not known for being a stressful place, right? Hawaii's a pretty relaxing spot to be.
I'm thinking company meetups are going to be in Hawaii.
Oh, tickets on Brew. Thanks, Brew.
I'm not. I mean, that's that's the plan here.
I got to do it.
That or Vegas. It's going to alternate. It'll probably go Vegas Summer League, then Hawaii, because we'll probably all be banned.
Yeah, from Vegas
by our spouses, because especially us
home.
older folks. And old in this industry is probably what 28.
Oh, so
we're way
ancient.
above that.
Oh God, we are ancient compared to industry old.
And so I don't know about all the other old folks out there, but recovery times for us are not that great. So
oh yeah, when I go to Vegas now, it's 1 beer every 2 hours max. I'm suckling. I'm pulling at it like the rat at the little nip coming through the side of the cage, just a little bit every once in a while. Otherwise, I won't make it. I remember as a younger man, it took double the number of days to recover as the number of days I was in Las Vegas. That was always the rule. You go for a weekend, you need the whole freaking week to get back into shape. Now I'm an old man. Now when I go to Vegas, I do it like an old man. I sit in the sports book with my one beverage in hand for a couple of hours, watching the games, go to the steakhouse, hopefully celebrating a win and putting that money right back into the casino just the way they wanted me to, or also potentially drowning my sorrows in a loss. I want the things that are not going to make me feel too horrible the next morning, because I want to get up and I want to do it all over again and remember it. So anyway.
And you know what's helped with that is I think these really hoppy IPAs. If you
you just can't
more
down
than
them.
3, you're just you don't feel great.
No,
and
that's too heavy.
You can drink an IPA over the course of an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah.
I know the youngsters out there are like, screw that, man. I play drinking games with IPA.
Kids these days, bro. These days.
One day you'll learn. But I want to alternate between Vegas and Hawaii for our hoop ball meetups.
That sounds good to me, considering the baseball winter meetings had us in either Nashville, Orlando, or some Indianapolis for 3 straight years. I'd go Vegas, Hawaii over those spots. I think I've made a good career decision here.
I don't understand why you would go. I mean, those places sound great. Don't get me wrong, but like, if you're going to spend one time during the year together, like, why not make it good?
Yeah. I know they love Nashville because it was at the Opryland, so they had everybody under one weird biodome. The other spots I'm a little bit more confused by. Anyway, Brew, while we're talking about being old men, can I borrow a Centrum Silver before we start this thing?
Did I tell you about my wife got me Centrum Silver?
No, she did not.
She did. So she loves calling me old. So she gets me Centrum Silver 50-year-old freaking pills.
You taking it?
Then I took a couple, but then I actually rejected this. I said, I ain't going to do this no more. I gave them back, and she came back with the 40-year-old version.
Attaboy.
And that made me just feel terrible as well.
Yeah. So Bruce having a rough
turned
week.
40 this year. I turned 40 this year, people.
Oh, my God.
Screw you all.
Yeah. You and Chef.
It's coming for you, Besbris.
I think Chef is 40 this year also. I think you guys are the same age.
Oh, good.
And I think
good.
Adrian Benjamins might be 40 this year also. I know we joke about him being 17 because he's babyface, but yeah, we're ancient over here at Hoop Ball. Anyway, hey, since I know the week is taking its toll on you, why don't we start in a spot that'll bring a smile to your face? We got to go through. You know where I'm going. You know it's
yes,
and it shall be Richaun.
Yes.
For those that are uninitiated, and I doubt there are many of you left, we're going to go through some of the big topics of the week here at the beginning of the program. About a halfway through the show, we'll switch over.
Maybe Sun's Twitter will like us now.
Sun's Twitter hates you, man. We recently found out you were blocked by some members of Sun's Twitter that you had never even interacted with.
A guy's story. It was a great story about somebody we're probably going to talk about here in a second. I tried to retweet his story, and then I'm like blocked. I've never met this dude on Twitter in my life.
Feels so sensitive,
I can
man.
only think that like he got offended by certain like the Sun shouldn't have dropped Derek Jones Jr. You know, that probably offended it. I don't know.
It's really weird.
I think you invited him on the show. I hope he comes on the show and like we determined that it was like he accidentally clicked and blocked me.
That would be my hope because I mean our criticism of the Suns is not a criticism of any. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you said something about.
I had a couple stupid Suns fans that hit me up with some stupid stuff, but he wasn't one of them. I don't think.
I think maybe he was, and then he got a gig. Either way, come on the pod, man. Let's talk this thing through. We can all be friends here.
Okay, I mean, the Suns are really intriguing right now. Like, I mean, of course, we've been behind Richaun Holmes forever. Like, that's our guy.
I love that everybody's given a pickup now. We had him as a pickup like a year and a half ago. Well, we rode through a bad season too. But
I mean, but you can't help the Colangelos. They're just Philly. They look stupid. I mean, anybody in Philly that didn't understand this looks stupid. I mean, and if you needed a big man on your team, if you're an NBA team and you didn't understand that Richaun Holmes, I mean, he's doing the same exact stuff that he did in Philly, that he did the year before in Philly, and the film doesn't lie. I mean, it's impressive to watch how he changes the game on defense. I always thought that if Philly was serious about contending with a team like the Warriors, that throwing him on the court so he could turn away pick and rolls, because he can cover the roll man and he can cover the hedge. So there's really very few people in the league that can do that. In fact, one of Houston's problems this year is Clint Capella hasn't been able to do that as well. You just get older, but Rashawn's physical ability sort of is, I mean,
he who he reminds me of?
Beginning of the year.
You know who he reminds me of? Amari Stoudemire.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of like, he's got enough strength to hold his own against the big bigs. And he's got leaping ability that you just don't see. Yeah, and Amari would be the guy.
Yeah.
And here's what the Suns fans haven't seen yet. He can shoot. Like, he hasn't been empowered to shoot, and he's not shooting right now, which I think is great. He doesn't need to be shooting out there. But if he continues to grow in his role and gets 25, 28 minutes per game, and then they start to try to expand on what he brings to the table, and he starts shooting those corner threes, he's shown this ability to shoot in the past. So he hasn't even scratched the surface there. But, I mean, you got a number one overall draft pick in DeAndre Ayton, who was sort of consensus, though the smart money was always on Luka Doncic. And he's out there just sort of lollygagging around. He provides defense in spurts. He's got good timing on blocks. If he was drafted third or fourth, he would be probably lauded right now for his performance. But he wasn't. He was the consensus number one for most outlets, and the Suns had no number two in mind. So he's out there. He's not making anybody better on offense. Defensively, he's not in the same hemisphere as Richaun Holmes. And they got a really interesting decision now. What are they going to do? Are they going to just blindly put their faith in this number one overall draft pick and do what a lot of teams have done with Richaun, is put him in this 20-minute role, a la Montrezl Harrell. But everybody on the Suns knows that he's better. Everybody, like the players, know he's better. What he does with the pick and roll settles this offense down. They got an offense full of chuckers, and then you got Booker coming back at some point, so everything could just get even worse. But with Richaun, everybody knows that he can set a screen and he can roll, and that pass is always going to be there. And if it's not, then the pass to the shooter is available. So would-be drivers get these really easy A-B decisions, and what it's done is it's settled the offense down. So Richaun Holmes actually has the best offensive rating on the team. He also has the best defensive rating on the team. So they got this really interesting choice. They can do what conventional wisdom says and stand behind your number one overall draft pick, or they could get weird with it. I would just, man, if I could pitch DeAndre Ayton in a deal to another team, get something reasonable back, like a top 10 pick back, something in that ballpark, top 15 even. I mean, I would hitch the wagon to Richaun Holmes and let that be my big man and start to convert this team from a bunch of chuckers to a balanced team that's got a great defensive player that can also give you a great offensive strategy in the pick and roll. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's been a no-brainer for a while. It'll probably take NBA Twitter, 3 months to figure it out. But that's where the Suns are at. It's really intriguing, but I'm glad that he's on our fantasy teams.
See, I made you happy here at the beginning of the show. So quickly on
I was happy before the show, Dan.
All right, well, we'll ratchet it up a click then. So quickly on the other guys on the Suns, DeAnthony Melton had a big game and then really did not in the last one. Goose egg, I think, was the final number. He did have some steals and blocks. Mikal Bridges looks like he's going to get wedged out by the high-usage guys. So the question really for me is about Melton. Does he deserve a roster spot at this point as the guy who's seemingly won the point guard job on a team where the point guard might not have much of a role? Is it enough of a role to get him on your roster?
I think there's enough to like about his stat set. And again, he had to play most of his minutes last night with DeAndre Ayton. And that's not, you're not getting easy pick and roll opportunities if you're playing with Ayton. You're not getting, the optimized play, so a lot of this, I think, for him comes down to what kind of team does this become? You're going to have Booker come back, and that could be a boon for everybody and make this team better. And, everybody could sort of tilt in the direction of Richaun Holmes, of TJ Warren. Even Warren's bringing that toughness that you want to see on the floor. And, if they could ever get Josh Jackson to not shoot, he's a guy that brings this kind of toughness. Why that's important is if they start playing winning basketball, I think DeAnthony Melton can be a very good fantasy asset because he has a good stat set. Physically, I think he can hang in the NBA. If it gets to the point where they're not that, which is likely, then it becomes a total question mark, and I don't think he's a must-own player as a result right now because of it. There's too many question marks there, but is it possible? Yeah, he's a guy that I would want to have at the end of my bench just to see, because starting point guards in the NBA are hard to come by in fantasy leagues, and if you get one with a good stat set, then you're cooking with gas, and so that's where I'm at with him. And I'm not done with Mikal Bridges yet. Again, if this team tilts towards being a smart, good basketball team via something as simple and stupid as running a pick and roll with Richaun Holmes for 25 minutes per game, I think there's upside there. And I know right now the ringers in these leagues with these massive entry fees are still buying into Mikal Bridges. And with Trevor Ariza being possibly or even likely to be traded by the 15th, I think it's a good time to hold him and see if you do remove a piece like Ariza, who hasn't been great, and he also has contributed to chucking in Phoenix. Is that another thing that can bring Bridges back to the fold? If he doesn't get it done after that, I think it's a pretty easy drop until things switch, possibly next season. He's a good player, and with a sweet shooting stat set a la Chris Middleton, he's somebody, unfortunately, you got to continue to pay attention to, even though right now it doesn't look good. But there's a window here for about 2 weeks where if I've got space, I want both of those guys on my team.
Next up on our tour is Chicago, which has had its share of drama lately, but we're going to focus mostly on the return of their injured players. Lauri Markkanen was the first. Bobby Portis and Chris Dunn returning at the same time with minutes limits over the last couple of games. Neither one has been overwhelming, obviously, with the minutes cap going on, but what do you see, Brew, in terms of how they scale their way back into the offense, and then basically when is the time to deploy them? Because for me, at least, I know I've been sitting on these guys and saying, listen, I need to get him to 28 minutes, something like that. Does Bobby Portis ever get to that number? What do you think the timeline is here now that they're playing?
It's going to be probably next week. I think that makes sense from a recovery standpoint for both of the injury types that they had, is to let them get this week under their belt at 24 minutes, and then next week they can ratchet them up to 28 and 30. Well, 28 and 30 for Dunn, and then Portis can just get whatever he earns. Big news, though, with Jabari Parker going out and, not really going out, but going out with the organization. This was never a good fit, and only the Bulls, and a few other franchises could have thought that Parker could play small forward, or that he was even a fit, for their rosters. Unfortunately, a player that has openly talked about not wanting to play defense, that doesn't bring added value on offense, is going to have a hard time in this league. I think it's possible that he has played his last game in Chicago. What they can get for him is up for debate. They might showcase him a little bit here or there. But that's big news for Bobby Portis, who we liked before all of this started crumbling for Jabari Parker. I think instead of top 110 value, I think he could easily be top 80, top 90. So if he's available out there, I think you got to pick him up. The rest of the guys, it helps them as well. Wendell Carter is going to get a lot of additional opportunity, and any sort of slowdown that he was going to have, I think, is going to be cut significantly by this decline or showing of the door to Jabari Parker. And it works its way across the rotation too. Right now, there'll be no threatening of minutes for Justin Holiday. He's still a hold, and he's been fine, and he will continue to be fine. But it is going to open things up. And when you have Zach LaVine, who talked about a pop in his ankle 24 hours ago or 18 hours ago, whatever it was, he's now getting an MRI on that ankle. And it could be the case that an injury like that forces him into a position of taking the long view with his short-term career in Chicago. He's not happy with the team right now. They're not happy with him with all that drama that's going on. It could be a good time for him to reset, take a week off, and that could accelerate Chris Dunn's minutes and also the touches for guys like Bobby Portis, for guys like Wendell Carter. Zach LaVine has a lot of usage, takes a lot of shots. So Chris Dunn, all systems go. You probably have about 2 hours. When you get done listening to this podcast, send his owner an offer and try to get him at about a top 90 rate right now and end up with a top 50 asset going forward.
Speaking of guys that you might be able to buy low on, what's up with Chris Middleton? Got listed out tonight with a finger thing. Do we think there's actually something wrong with his finger, or is it the finger between his index and his ring finger that maybe he gave to his coach?
It's stuck.
Yeah, it's stuck
in the upright position.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Milwaukee's such a place with a dearth of news that we don't ever really get.
It's so weird.
Jerry
Teams,
Wolfel,
winning teams shouldn't have this stuff happening.
Well, and you were supposed to got rid of a lot of this stuff with Mike Budenholzer versus Jason Kidd. I think there's probably a garden variety disagreement over something that's going on. Defense, shot attempts, and Middleton's at the center of it. He's never been a guy that's made headlines in the past, so it's really hard to see. I mean, it's a head scratcher. It really is. I mean, we were talking about this in a trade offer you brought to my attention, I think 3 weeks ago. Like, Middleton's so safe. There was he was like the safest play in the second round, and now all of a sudden, he is missing games for dubious reasons. I'm not going to look into it too much. Finger injuries are too easy to get. I mean, in the NBA, there's just too many ways you could get them. So it's not like a weird injury type. If it was like general soreness, that would perk up. It's a buy low. You know what? I'll say this. I'll take that. This dubious. This low end productivity. I'll take that any time of the week if it's going to give hoop ballers an opportunity to get in on what will be a second round asset going forward as soon as he gets on track.
And I had 4 really important ones, and I was going to check the timestamp after that and see, how we were looking on this thing. And we're doing pretty good on time so far. So the last one was yet another new Knicks starting lineup. Kevin Knox seeing giant minutes right now. And I asked you this question earlier this year, and we both kind of agreed that the answer was infinite. So does it change is what I'm going to ask you here before I bring the question back up. Is there a number of minutes that Kevin Knox would have to see that would put him on a 9-category roster?
On a 9-cat roster?
Yeah, or even 8-cat, honestly, because turnovers aren't really his issue either way.
They will be if he's getting that many minutes. And they won't be that big of an issue. But he's going to need 33 minutes per game to be a top 110 value. So any way you slice it, that's just terrible math. And I think there will be a point in time that they turn things over to him, but I don't know that it's going to be consistent until mid-January, February at the soonest. So yeah, I was just having this thought actually. I think it was last night. There's like Luka Doncic is out there doing things. I didn't have Luka as high as he's producing right now. I'm always going to lose out on rookies, and it's gonna because there's too many ways that they can spin south and not meet the hype of draft day or whatever point in time we're talking about. Knox is gonna, get bounced out of that rotation. Not totally out, but out of a catbird seat, no less than like 5 to 10 times between now and the All-Star break. So I just don't see it. And if I lose on it, was my original point. If I lose on it, I don't care.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much with you on that one. I'm going to throw one more thing into my stuff from the league bucket, and that's what's going on with Trevor Ariza. He sat out a game. It looked like maybe they were just going to sit him until a possible trade, which could happen as early as tomorrow, and then he played in their last game and actually played pretty well. What does his future hold? Is there anybody you're grabbing in preparation for a potential move? I'm not. I'm mostly just waiting to see how this thing shakes out.
I mean, it's kind of like when we talked Suns earlier. I'm going to take Mikal Bridges. I'm going to take DeAnthony Melton. TJ Warren, I think, actually stays in Phoenix. It's just my read on the situation. That might not actually be a bad thing. It's just, can they get the ball out of Devin Booker's hands? So those are the two I'm looking at for when he leaves. And I do think he will leave. I think he wants to leave. I think he got an amazing contract and was just a success story from a financial perspective of this last summer's free agency. He's getting paid $15 million to basically, spend a half season in Phoenix and then go somewhere where he can contend. Not bad in what was a bad market for players. And I'm also not worried about wherever he lands. He's a low usage guy. When they get him, whoever gets him, they're probably going to play him 26, 28 minutes at a minimum. So that's enough for him to be productive. And, he's just got a sweet fantasy stat set, especially in 9-cat leagues. So I'm not worried about it either way, but I am. Mikal Bridges, man, speaking of Chris Middleton, he has that sort of savviness that if they can just clear space for him on that team and with what they do, he can be very, very good.
I want to take a moment here before we jump over to questions to remind everybody that you can get shows just like this one every day of the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then this one obviously on Fridays by joining up with our Hoopball in-season premium package. Go to hoop-ball.com, click on the premium tab, choose Go Premium, and there are a couple of different ways you can actually get it. You can just buy it the old-fashioned way, put some money in the coffers, get the in-season premium pass, or you can get it by signing up at DraftKings and putting $10 in a brand new account, which is pretty sweet, Brew, because we've got a contest every Wednesday at DraftKings that went pretty well this week. but I missed it because it filled up by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. How did that actually turn out? I feel like you were just outside the bubble.
I just was outside, and there were a couple. Man, I didn't have time to make my lineup. I usually like to stare at the screen for like an hour and a half. It's very meditative to do so. And then I cover all the angles. This time I was just pointing and clicking and pointing and clicking. I was racing, and I didn't get the players that I wanted. Hence why I finished 13th, I think, just outside of the money. You know what? When I start studying, you guys are all going down, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, Patria is great. Everybody that's in these contests are hoop ballers. That we've been hanging out with for the last 3 years. So it's a ton of fun. I think we're upping the contest to 100 entrants. Which
nice.
The prizes are going to double. You got the coffee prize for the second place finisher. You got the T-shirt for the first place finisher. That's actually one of my favorite things is watching that stuff go out. And I'm excited. Also, one last thing, you got the premium product is on sale for, I want to say this weekend only. I have to look at our notes, but I think it's $5 off.
I think it ends this weekend. That's what I've been saying on the show, at least.
I'm glad that you're reading the memos. And
listen, you do the same thing I do.
Them.
Yeah,
I'm writing them, but I'm not reading my own stuff.
No, see, I do the same thing you do, and you do the same thing I do. Once it's written and it's sent out, then you're just like, all right, fine. Those guys know now. I did it. It's out there. It's done. Like, it's taken care of. I don't need to go back and look at it again. And it worked because I've been saying this stuff on the show.
I hope we one day either get this will never happen, but I want a videographer, who could do a documentary on the creation of hoopball, and they could just see how crazy it is that, the stuff that comes in the inbox and stuff that comes in the outbox, and how we're flying around, keeping this operation running basically 24/7. And we got people all over the world that are, doing their thing. And it's just phenomenal stuff. But you're right. I sent that to you, and I completely forgot what the day was.
But I read it. It was this weekend. I think it's tomorrow or Sunday. That's the one thing I couldn't remember. And then I've been telling people too that if they go back and they find one of the coupon codes I used to give out in October, November on this show, they could knock another $3 off that bad boy and really pull your pockets full. You're just done, man.
You just find ways to game the system, and Dan's always for that.
Yep.
And you know what? Honestly, we're for that because. Right. The money's important, obviously. It's what makes it all go around. But the people that are with us right now are the core hoop ballers, and if they're getting a deal and they're winning their leagues and they're having fun, and we're still so far so much cheaper than everybody else. It's just win. We want to build this community up. When we sell out 20 years from now and you guys all hate me.
Just remember this day.
Yeah, we want people now to really enjoy themselves and have fun with it. So if you can game the system, if you can get a coupon, if you can get the premium product for $15, that's great.
Or
12. It's all in good fun, and we'll start gouging you guys in 5 to 10 years.
That's right. You heard it here. To the chat room, Jack Lindsay says salutations. I think he had the first one last week. He doesn't ask a question. He just likes to. We've got a first guy in the forum, which actually I think means we made it. Beasley 10. There's a regular folk. 2 weekends before Christmas. Happy Friday, Hoop Ball. What's up, dude? Please pick 2 of the following 4. All right, Brew, you got a 2 out of 4 here to start the show. Torian Prince, Nick Batum, Danny Green, and Kyle Anderson. 9 category leagues. Although Prince is out, so it's tough to pick him. I guess this is a rest of season question then.
That's what I was thinking when I heard that name. It's got to be Prince and Anderson. Prince has got top 50, 60 written all over him for 9 cat. And then Anderson, I think, is right behind him at 70 to 80. So, don't worry about that injury to Prince. He'll be good soon.
What? And I think we have a question about this actually later in the chat room, but I'm just going to bounce to it now because it came up. What's going on with Nick Batum? What's wrong with this dude? He's like a ghost this season.
He has done this. He did this in Portland the year before his contract year, and he had a wrist injury. I wouldn't be surprised if he rekindled that wrist injury because when he gets in a funk, he just disappears, and there's no snapping him out of it. We've seen a different version of Nick Batum in the last couple of years in Charlotte. He's been a very active volume guy, almost to the point where you could just write it in ink. But this year, They got a lot of guys that they want to get touches for. Malik Monk being kind of at the top of the list as a guy that they are trying to force into NBA productivity. He's not going to get it done this year, but when you have him and Kemba's out there really putting up big numbers, Jeremy Lamb has stepped into his own, and they don't have a lot of chuckers, and they got a lot of guys that'll distribute the rock, but they also have a little bit more depth. Miles Bridges is pretty good, and he likes to get it up. So I think the takeaway there is Batum's not going to be good for the rest of the year. Sorry.
Well, that's rough. Anyway, we'll get to that actual question in a few moments. I forget who asked it, but I know I saw it, so I'm guessing it'll come back up in the not too distant future. Giannis says, "Happy Friday, guys. What's up, dude? Do you think Kevin Huerter or Thomas Bryant is worth stashing in a 14-team league?"
So I had Thomas Bryant on a lot of teams. So watching him closely over the last couple of weeks, they seem intent on capping him at 19 minutes per game. One of the local beat writers, Candace Buckner, had said that she didn't really see Thomas Bryant getting minutes in the long haul, and it's really questionable to me. With Scott Brooks there, this all makes sense, but for a team with no center, long term, you can't put Markieff Morris out there at center. Like, you just can't, and you can't put Jeff Green out there at center. And Jan Mahimi is not capable of playing NBA minutes anymore. So it seems if he was capable, we'd have seen it by now. So it's just questionable to me. Like, are they going to really stick to this? But Scott Brooks is a guy that's been known for not playing the right players. He's also been known for a guy that's overplays veterans. So Thomas Bryant, he's a little bit thin for a 5, but he's their only true 5 that has any sort of upside. So I think Bryant has upside. I think that, eventually they'll get to a point where they got to have that size on the floor. So he's worth owning in 14-team leagues, in short. And the other player, I completely forgot who it was because I went on a Thomas Bryant rant.
Kevin Huerter.
Oh, how could I forget that guy? He's doing really well. Really answering a lot of questions about whether or not he was worth being taken in the slot that he was taken in. And yes, this offense is very complimentary of just getting stats. He's landed in a good place for fantasy value. And Torian value will go down. And for that reason, I don't think, unless you want to consider him a luxury stash, that he's worth owning in 14-team leagues at this time. But there is some rationale. If he, at the end of the year, gets any sort of path to minutes, he's going to be great.
Chris Dunn or De'Aaron Fox, rest of season, 9-cat.
Dun, 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 dun.
Interesting. All right, we got a 5-player rank fest to follow that one up. Gordon Hayward, Taurean Prince.
Nope.
What's that?
No reaction, Dan. None
I liked
reaction.
it. It was good. I enjoyed it. I wanted to let it do its damage. I didn't feel like I needed to. I didn't need to explain the joke. They got it. Gordon Hayward, Taurean Prince, Josh Hart, Kelly Oubre, Jonathan Isaac. Those are the 5 players on the list. 9 category rest of season ranking. Again, it's Gordon Hayward, Taurean Prince, Josh Hart, Kelly Oubre, and Jonathan Isaac. I think I know where you're going to have most of these guys, but I'm curious.
It's going to be Isaac, Prince, and Oubre. Hart had a nice game. It was good to see him be productive in the last one. But Oubre's got the best path to value, most likelihood that he's going to keep that value. And the other 2, Isaac and Prince, are superstars.
And Gordon Hayward was the first one on that list.
Yeah, sucks to be him for fantasy.
Not even on the list. Youch. Roberto Gama, what's up, guys? Covington. Whoa. Something is terribly wrong in your league, Roberto. I don't know that this is podcast fodder. Rob Covington was dropped in your league for Thad Young. Is there something going on with? No, Rob Covington is fine. He's dealing with a knee thing. He's been a top 25 guy this year. That's freaking nuts. I'm going to skip that question for Brew because no, you're not missing anything. Someone's an idiot in your league. Is Kristaps Porzingis worth an IL spot? Brew, my answer to this one is no. I don't think he's even playing this year.
Yeah, I mean, you might find better IL players. I don't think he's playing this year either. So, but there's a small chance. He wants to get on the floor, but it's stupid for him to get on the floor this year.
Yeah.
And this thing, they always do this like this. They say, okay, well, maybe this is going to happen. When you get to February and March and you have the possibility of getting a full year or full off season's worth of rest on top of that rest he's already gotten. It's medically speaking a no-brainer to let him wait.
We literally, as you were talking, got a report that Rob Covington is probable for tomorrow. So there's quite literally nothing wrong with the dude. What's going on with Trae Young? Is he worth an ad in an 11-cat league? Well, I guess it depends on what the categories are. If it's you get bonus points for turnovers and missed shots, then hell yeah. I'm guessing the 11 cats are like free throws made and field goals made, or possibly 3-point percentage, or O-reebs versus regular rebounds. I don't know what the 11 categories are, but I don't know. He's not a guy that I'm using in almost any format. Brew, where would you use Trae Young, if anywhere?
Points leagues,
yeah,
8
points
cat.
leagues.
I mean, you got to know what those other cats are, but it's not, if it was assist to turnover, that's not going to work.
No.
If it was, I don't know what those other cats are, but
there's the cut Batum question. So, Chris, we got you covered. I asked you that one. Got that one early. Andre, you got a laundry list of questions here, so we're going to hit him. And Andre deserves all of our questions because
this Andre Lemos?
Yeah, it's our boy.
What up, Andre?
Good evening, he says, which gives away that he's not on the west coast of the United States. Hope you guys are doing great. Thanks for the great work. Pleasure to see hoopball growing and all on the right path. Asked you yesterday, Dan. Now for Brew. What does he think about Batum? Okay, well, that one we've knocked out already, so we can jump to the next one. Melton, Derek White, Darren Collison, Monty Morris. If we're in the lightning round, quick order. If you're not in the lightning round, thoughts on a couple of those guys. We're not in the lightning round yet, so we've already talked about Anthony Melton. The other guys on this list, Brew: Derek White, Darren Collison, Monty Morris. What do you think about those guys? Are they worth using?
Well, Collison is a pretty solid. I think we all know what Collison is at this point. I mean, with Victor Oladipo coming back, he has stepped back into that early season, position where I think Dan is a little bit more optimistic than I am, but we're both in the same ballpark. I think he could be a top 150 guy. I think it would help them considerably as a team to get rid of Tyreek Evans. So maybe somebody in the front office is thinking along those same lines. But Collison is what he is. The ones that intrigue me, Derek White, I added him in a few leagues because I need assists, and he hasn't been producing assists, and he's been mostly beneath the cut line as far as productivity goes. He's on a team where he's a starting point guard. I mentioned this earlier with Melton. Those are hard to come by, and the Spurs are really going to have a hard road to the playoffs. And if anything were to happen to LaMarcus Aldridge, and he has had injury issues in the past, that team I think changes from a sort of slower plodding team, and they get up out there and they run, and that's where Derek White, you could see a complete change in the dynamic of his stat set. So with all of that in mind, I'm a little bit more willing to put up with the hassles of owning him right now. Not attached to him by any means. And then who's our other guy in that list?
Monty Morris was the other one.
Monty Morris. Morris is a very good fantasy asset right now. He might have some trouble with Isaiah Thomas coming back. Isaiah sent out a tweet that basically indicated that he's coming back pretty soon here. I was able to stash Isaiah Thomas in a couple leagues, so I assists in those leagues. So, he's somebody who could produce in those areas. I think if we're talking Isaiah Thomas, he has a chance at being like a top 100 value in fantasy leagues. And Monty Morris has been so good that the locals are actually, and especially because of some anti-Isaiah Thomas sentiment around the league, some of the locals are already like, screw Isaiah Thomas, keep Monty Morris in the lineup. I don't think they're going to do that. Michael Malone knows what they have in Isaiah Thomas. If he's healthy, he's going to get in there and he will push Monty Morris out of standard league value, unfortunately. However, that said, right now, with the Nuggets so shallow, dealing with injuries, Monty Morris is a big part of what they're doing, and it's not a guarantee that he's going to give up his minutes. This guy's come in, he's earned it for years now, and he just simply doesn't turn the ball over. It's amazing. He's going to just crush the assist to turnover mark. The best mark over the last 15, 20 years, I think, was Jose Calderon at like 5.4 or something. He's already at 7, and it doesn't look like he's slowing down. So Morris, I'm good with. I think he's probably a cut above Derek White and maybe even DeAnthony Melton right now. It's hard with all these guys. They're just low-end assets. They're so tightly bunched. If you needed productivity right now, I would definitely go Morris over DeAnthony Melton. If you've got a luxury stash in mind, it's the exact opposite because Morris is going to have to deal with Thomas pretty soon. I think the next 2 weeks, you have standard league value out of Morris, and everything else after that's a question mark.
If you were in a win-now situation in a dynasty league, would you trade Otto Porter and Bogey, I'm assuming that's Bogdan Bogdanovic in Sacramento, for Jonathan Isaac and Gary Harris? Which side would you want if you were trying to win this year in a dynasty league? Or I guess a redraft league. You could treat it the same way.
Porter is... Do we know the cats on this? Because 9...
I'll just go 9. We'll roll with 9.
Okay. Yeah, we'll roll with 9. So if it's Bogey and...
Porter. And the other side was John Isaac and Gary Harris.
Isaac matches up with Bogdanovic really well right now because we know that Isaac is going to get to the top 80 range of the minimum, and I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation of where Bogdanovic is going to peter out. Now, Isaac has so much upside after that. If he's even remotely a part of the offense, he jumps up into an early round value. But I do think those two pairs. So we're really talking about Porter versus who's the other guy?
Gary Harris.
Yeah, you know what? I like that Porter and Bogdanovic side of the coin just because they're almost guaranteed. Even with the trouble that Porter has been this year, he is almost guaranteed to hit his marks as long as he doesn't have something really massive go on. And he has upside beyond what he's expected to produce because he's such a low usage guy. If anything happens to John Wall or this team, decides to tank and Wall goes here, or maybe Otto Porter gets traded somewhere else, he could easily step into a bigger role. So I like that side of the deal. It's close though.
By the way, Otto Porter was just ruled out for tonight, for whatever that's worth. Next question on this that happened while you were talking. It's amazing the timing we have on this show. We talked about a lot of the Bulls earlier in the podcast, but we didn't really talk about Wendell Carter Jr. What does his future hold, at least this season?
He's going to be really good. But he's got Lauri Markkanen to deal with, and that alone, I think, tips the usage in the front court away from Wendell Carter, and it's going to be a while before they decide to put the Robin Lopez on ice. You got these veterans; these coaches want these guys to have a voice in the locker room. The front office wants them to have a voice in the locker room. You can't do that without giving them minutes. This is a Dave Yeager thing from Sacramento. It's like you're giving minutes to keep intact, not because of what's going well on the floor, not because because it makes sense to do so. You just want that guy to have that cachet in the locker room. So that's not going to go away completely for a while. That's going to limit Wendell Carter. I think he's going to be a top 80, top 90 guy, though. That stat set's really nice. And there is this possibility that they thin out and then he can really do his thing. So like him as an asset, but I'm going to rate him at about top 90 going forward.
Whoever follows hoopball is likely dominating their league. So what are you doing at this point in the year? Trades? Stashing for upside? Brew, I know for me, it's a lot of trades. I'm shotgunning a lot of 2-for-1s and sell highs out there. And it's not something that I stress on this podcast a lot. It's not like I'm trying to sell, an injury pickup that's going to be good for 3 days and trying to get something awesome season long. It's like, take a guy who's having a slightly better month than you think and see if you can get someone who's going to be just a little bit better than that dude at the end of the year at that same exact moment. It's got to be small, incremental upgrades in trades. The fleecing stuff just doesn't work anymore. There's too much information out there. There aren't that many guys in leagues, at least competitive leagues, that you can just sort of pull the wool over their eyes. What about you, Brew? What are you doing at this point in the year with your strong teams?
I'm fielding all these offers from other hoopballers that like, wait, don't you watch my show? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, that's always funny.
They pull the offer I tell them to make. I think they just don't know my team name, and so I get these crazy offers. No, I look. I think this is a very good year for hoopballers. Like, I don't know if this is the one. I've always thought, what if there's this year where we just hit on everything and you just every draft slot that you take, you're just dominating. And, I got a couple teams that are up over 80 in roto points, and it's fun. I mean, because now we're really got a lot of leverage to just make upside plays all over the place. And, that's fun. It's great. I don't want to jinx it. But yeah, I'm basically in those situations. Not all my teams are like that, but like in those situations where you got a big lead or you're in a top 3, you're going to the playoffs, you got a lot of upside on your bench. Just keep getting upside, man. it's distressed asset territory. You want to find those distressed assets, like Jonas Valanciunas. That guy could be had for $1 right now. We know he's going to be out for 4 to 5 weeks. It's not a structural injury with his legs. He's going to stay on a treadmill the entire time. He's probably going to work out. He'll probably get better with his left hand, or I don't know which hand got hurt, but the offhand. So those are the situations you're looking to pilfer and plunder masses.
I like it. Anybody that jumps out at you as having a potential impact late in the season that you think is sort of low in the rankings right now? You mentioned Valanciunas because he's hurt. Does Jonathan Isaac fall into that category? Any other names that jump out at you as potential distressed assets?
You know what? This is like Family Feud. I'm going to hit the button and I want to just push that question to the next.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm gonna give a bunch of bad answers and watch my family just crumble, looking at me like, how did we have you as a family member?
I'm gonna go back. I'll edit this show for the other one, and I'm gonna do a bunch of voices yelling weird names at you at that point in the show. We're like, I'm gonna go.
That's
with Chris
like the funny. My wife watches a lot of Family Feud because she loves what's his name,
Steve Harvey. He's great on that show.
Oh yeah. He's great. Actually, I have a buddy that went to high school with that went on his daytime show. That a total so if you've ever wondered are there actors on these shows, he's totally acting. He acts as a guy that has no game with women and has like major problems, like just like living at home with his mom or whatever he does. And they so Steve, what's his name? Steve
Harvey, the host.
Steve Harvey fixes him. It's freaking hilarious because it's all fake and it's the Steve Harvey show. Anyway,
you're not supposed to tell
track.
That. Yeah, you gave away.
Yeah, it's totally fake though. But it's hilarious. Anyway, yeah, I think it's funny when those people have really bad answers and the family members are extremely disappointed. What's the next question? I'll get you an answer for that question here in a second.
Any chance Aaron Holiday could emerge this year?
Not without Tyreek Evans getting traded.
Yeah. I almost think 2 guys need to get traded. Evans, and Corey Joseph, or one of them traded and one of them hurt or something like that. 8-cat, 3-man rank fest. This is an easy one. 3-man. Brew can do this with his eyes closed. 8 category, Kyle Anderson, Kelly Olynyk, Evan Fournier, rest of season.
Kick out Olynyk.
Olynyk is not on the list. He's last or he's first?
He's last.
Okay, so then it's slow-mo Fournier?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Gotcha. Would you trade Miles Turner for Chris Middleton in an 8-category dynasty league? Which side do you like there?
Oh yeah, I want Middleton's the guy. It's Turner could possibly step into some upside that he's we're not seeing right now. I just think we've seen enough of him to bet against that. And even if he did, I don't know if he'd compete with Middleton. So yeah, it's easy Middleton.
Andre messing around says he has a 28-player rank fest coming. That'd be a fun one.
You know what? Let's do that next week.
Yeah, we'll do the whole show. It'll just be a rank fest of 28 guys. When do you guys want to visit Madeira Island in Portugal? Best island in the world for the last 5 years. Let me know, and I'll make sure you guys have a good time. Andre, is that where you are? I don't know why I thought you were in Eastern Europe. That's Western. Oh, well. Anyway, Josh Richardson is...
What's it called? Madrigal Island?
Madeira Island, it sounded like. Now I gotta look it up. Madeira Island map. I'm going to pull this up off Portugal here. So that's... all right, interesting. It's off the coast there.
Oh,
that makes
yeah.
sense. All right, fair enough. Okay, we'll get back to that.
Large New Year's fireworks show.
Look at that. That's that's way out there. That's like close to... That's in like the Moroccan part of the Atlantic. Interesting. All right. We'll keep you posted, Andre.
I almost died out there.
That's a weird thing to say. What?
A morbid? No, not there, Dan. It was in the Cinque Terre. I went swimming. I thought I could swim to the rock.
Old man, you took all that.
My wife. No, this was our honeymoon too. So like I used to be able to swim pretty well. Obviously I can't. I went to swim to the rock and I got to that point where I was like, oh damn, I don't think I'm gonna make it. I tried to swim back. Thankfully there's a lot of salt in that water, so you could float. I floated my way back, dude. It was and my wife was sleeping and I got in and I was like, oh, I almost died. She's like, I don't believe you.
It's good to know she cares.
I know, right?
What would you buy or sell Josh Richardson for right now? Because he's actually in a little bit of a slump at present as well.
Yeah, I would go top. I mean, Okay, this is all about what am I evaluating him at going forward, and I think we're going to evaluate him as a top 50 guy. So whatever I can sell, that's less than that, that's got the right, the arrow pointing in the right direction, that's where I'm looking. So anything below top 50 that, isn't going to bounce up over that top 50, I'm fine with that.
I sold all of my Josh Richardsons when he was inside the top 25 this year. It was amazing. I cashed in on that bad boy. I rarely time it so perfectly.
Hey, how about that Spencer Dinwiddie news, man?
Congratulations, Spencer. That's awesome. Good for Spencer.
Yeah, you've won us some money here at Hoopball. Thank you very much.
That's right.
Spencer
And
Dinwiddie.
you earned it. Good deals all around. That's a nice congrat. We'll give him a Spencer Dinwiddie golf clap. Good job for everybody on that one. Andre says, I will place a large bet on whoever you pick. Who's winning the NBA championship this year? Well, there's no fun in betting on the Warriors, right? On the preseason show, I think I said that the Thunder were a weird underdog that had an outside chance of going crazy for a couple of games. I don't know, man. Underdogs are weird. The Raptors would have been a good play earlier in the year, but they're chalky now also. I mean, is there anybody that's not chalky out there, Brew? Not really.
No.
Bet on LeBron to do something weird. LeBron would be an underdog but Lakers are not great odds either. It's a tough one. I mean, it's going to be the Warriors.
Here's a stupid one that I'm not going to let you guys put any money on, but the Nuggets.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it.
I mean, just like a team with enough firepower offensively to sort of keep up.
Yeah.
But, you got to catch the Warriors in a 4-game slump. That's,
Or let somebody else do something to them. Pierre, Grizzlies were a huge part of my early season success. Have Conley and Gasol on my teams. Are they a legit contender? I'm worried they're going to fall out of the playoff race and get dreaded rest later on. I'm debating selling high. Well, you can't really sell high on Gasol right now because he's in about a week and a half long slump. I don't think they're falling out early, right? This is a team that's going to fight until the end. Even if you got a rest day, we're talking about, in the last week of the season. That's not a reason to sell high. One missed a game in early April. I wouldn't sell on those guys, would you? I mean, you could sell for other reasons, but not for that one.
No, and there's some last season with Marc Gasol was really instructive. He could have packed that season in no problem. Nobody would have cared. He didn't, and he played way too much for a guy that needs to keep the mileage down. And so I think him and Mike Conley this year, it's funny. Everybody's going to go on the Mike Conley All-Star bandwagon. And it's basically because, as I burp up here, it's basically because I know, right? Professionalism. It's what's for dinner. No, basically, Conley, this is going to be his all-star year because everybody feels bad they didn't vote him in prior years and, the logjam and all that good stuff. But there's something, I think, with Conley and his big contract and these guys needing to get there into the playoffs, as a duo. And it's just, I think they want this. They got a good veteran in Garrett Temple to eat up a lot of minutes. So when they put this product on the court, it's Conley, Temple, Anderson, Jaren Jackson's great. Michael Green has been fantasy worthy and been a good complement to what they're doing. They added a revitalized Joakim Noah, who's basically not partying anymore, is the story there.
That was amazing, by the way.
Love that guy. Just an amazing quote. I think they're playoff worthy. I think they will make the playoffs. I wouldn't bet my house on it, but I think these guys are going to be fine all year. So I think you buy into them right now rather than selling them.
All right. I like it. Let's see. The Suns were the first run-and-gun team that I remember with Mike D'Antoni, says Dirt and Rust. Yeah, that's about right. A couple of lines were put up there. Remember, we were asking earlier in the show what the current lines were on those games. Ben says, should I stream Greg Monroe with Valanciunas out? That's a good question, actually. Brew, what formats do you think he might hold value? You got to go a little bit deeper, I think.
Yeah, I think 14 is pushing it. He's just not – you can't keep him on the floor against certain teams. So I think if you're in a pickle, 14, get in there and do it. Just keep in mind keep in mind that he's going to get what Valanciunas' minutes were, which were 19 minutes a game, and he'll get that at best. I think he's probably going to get 14 minutes per game. I don't think that's standard. I don't think that's 14-team league value. But, pick a team that's got a big center, an opposing center that is not going to penalize Toronto for putting him on the floor.
We are about at the 4-minute mark, and I think that times out pretty well because we just have a handful of questions left that I'm going to do. Is there anybody that's stepping up in Brooklyn these days? Actually, the short answer to that is Alan Crabb, and then he's missing the game tonight. Brew, is Alan Crabb a 12-team guy for you, or is it too much up and down stuff?
Too much up and down, but here's the thing. I think that internally, especially after the 39-point game, I mean, who knows if that had anything to do with it, but it would seem that, when Dinwiddie gets his deal right after that, maybe they were like, okay, hey, we can't screw around anymore. And what the other shoe to drop here is D'Angelo Russell. Or somebody tweeted something, Kenny Atkinson mentioned that Karis LeVert, who, by the way, is a lot healthier than, it would seem he should be, and I was able to stash him in one league, and I feel really good about it. He mentioned Dinwiddie and LeVert as guys that were kind of like the future, and D'Angelo Russell's name wasn't mentioned. Russell went in there and chucked so much during that losing streak that it could have been the case that the Nets got their heads straight and said, you know what, we got to hitch ourselves to this wagon and not this one. And so if that happens, you could see the Nets try to make some move on the market to get rid of a D'Angelo Russell. But either way, they take the car keys away from him. They give him a Spencer Dinwiddie, cut down Russell's minutes, or even have some, one of these disagreements or some health issue pop up. Then you'll see a lot of guys get unlocked for the Brooklyn Nets, including Joe Harris, including Alan Crabb, including DeMarre Carroll, including Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. So this is a big storyline for people to watch. I know it's lightning round, but I wanted to get that in somehow. I would say within about 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, you could record this. You could play it back in 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, I think D'Angelo Russell is headed elsewhere.
All right, well, now we're going mega lightning round the rest of the way, so we got to go quickie on this one. Julie says, will Domantas Sabonis ever be a 32-plus minute guy later in his career?
Yes.
Is Pascal Siakam a sell high right now?
No. You hang on.
Marcus Sol, we talked about him a moment ago. You said he's actually a little bit of a buy low because of the recent slump. What's the rest of season outlook? Top 25?
I go with top 40.
All right. Who would you rather have the rest of this season? Danny Green, Rondé, or Dennis Smith in a 9-category league? Come on, dude. That's got to be Danny Green. Rondé sucks. Dennis Smith sucks. Those guys are terrible.
Okay, we could agree on Dennis Smith sucks in fantasy.
Rondé's been awful this year. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson has done nothing to make me ever want to touch him again. His percentages are brutal.
That's why he's going to be good. I know that makes no sense, right?
I don't know if they've never been good though.
Well, if he could just get to last year's level, he's a good free throw shooter. He's injured, and he stepped into a team that was he had 3 ball handlers with LeVert and the trio, and he was one of the ball handlers last year, but that hasn't really happened this year. So I think the injuries really knocked him off his game. I'll go Danny Green because, Dan, you know what? You were having a rough day earlier. I'm trying to make you feel better.
Yeah, and Rondé's terrible. Whether it's injuries or not, he's horrible this year. And by the time maybe he feels better, then LeVert's going to be ready to come back. So I just don't think there's going to be a window.
We can't agree on everything.
I don't think there's going to be a window. Maybe it'll be down the line, but anyway.
It's in 4 weeks is when that window is.
Yeah, he's going to have like a 3-week window in 4 weeks when D'Angelo Russell gets shipped out.
It'll be a top 80 play for the rest of the year. Book it. No, I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Nah.
I haven't dropped him yet.
John Collins versus DeAndre Ayton, long-term or short-term?
I'll go long-term with John Collins, and short-term, it's probably, Ayton. Ayton has a nice floor. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he probably goes top 60 at the lowest. So, you might look at that and say, hey, I'd prefer to have that rather than the guy with the ankle injury. And, but I'm going to go with my gut, and I'm going to say that Collins beats him this year too.
Looking to make a trade in a 9-cat league, which player would you be trying to move, Eric Bledsoe or Danilo Gallinari? Well, it's Gallo, but you can't get anything for him because everybody hates him. So because of that, it sort of has to be Bledsoe. I'm just taking that one myself because every fantasy expert can say Gallo, but we're being disingenuous because you can't trade him. We slid in just under the 1 hour mark by 30 seconds. Brew, my man, have a lovely weekend, sir.
I know how you like to stay on time, so I'm going to not tell this long story that I was about to tell you. You guys all have a safe weekend. Enjoy it. If we don't talk through the pipes here to you, enjoy your holiday season.
Yeah, we will, though. You know we will. We never stop with this fantasy crap. Whatever take of it you may have. He's Aaron Bruski, at Aaron Bruski on Twitter. You can see that on your screen. I'm at Dan Besbris. Back on Monday with more Fantasy NBA Today. We're going to be talking to the guys from blogabull.com. We're digging into the Chicago Bulls, get a little inside info on the weirdness going on in Chicago. Have a great weekend, everybody. So long.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.